I didn't really begin to appreciate the second generation Legends until about the time I was working on Honda. And then I began to appreciate even more when I got to Acura. It was our parts director who still had a 95, I believe, GS sedan. That was an automatic Type 2. Nonetheless, it still caught my eye. It's always that 90s Honda look, Honda design that you can tell it apart from other cars. My family had a 91 Accord SE, and you could kind of see the resemblance of the two. And I always loved that car. And so by the time I was at Acura, I began to learn more about those Legends. And there was an older guy working there. He had been there since Acura was created in 1986. And he and I always talked every once in a while. And one day, a Type 2 Legend was towed in. It was, I think it was also a 95 GS sedan. And the owner had brought it in because he had drove over something and he briefly saw a check engine light and he didn't want to keep driving it, so he just towed it in. And everything was fine, and as I said, the older mechanic looked at it because he was usually the go-to guy with the older Acuras. And so I walked over to his stall and started talking with him, and he started showing me different things with the car. It's like, oh, here's one place you want to look for, especially in the front differential. You want to see the seal if it's broken or if it's starting to seep out. You'll see it from this area right here. And he was, pointing out different things for me because I kind of told him that I kind of want to own one of these. And he's like, oh, this is the Type 2. It's got 30 more horsepower over the other one. And later on, I would learn that the Type 2s also had the better suspension, the bigger front brakes, as well as the bigger wheels. As well as the other luxury amenities. It wasn't until months later I started looking into the market for those cars. And, just looking around, not really meaning to buy anything, just wanted to keep an eye. And this particular car came up for sale that really sparked my attention. It was a 95 Sherwood Green Legend Coupe LS. So it had the Type 2 engine, had all the Type 2 stuff on it. It was the original owner. It had 200,000 miles, but you really couldn't tell that thing had 200,000 miles unless you looked at the odometer. I mean, the paint and interior looked immaculate, except for a tear in the rear seat. And then, so the thing that popped into my mind is, price seems right. Let me see if I can get in touch with the guy and just talk more about the car. And I remember thinking, it's okay, you're not going to buy the car, you're just going to talk to him. It's a car that's pretty rare, Type 2 that was that clean. You may only be able to find a handful of those for sale. And so then I called the guy. He only had his phone number on the ad. I called maybe 3 times, left a voicemail each time. 2 weeks went by, nothing. And then I think it was almost the last week of the month, I get a call back from the owner. And, out of surprise, I'm like, hey, yeah, I've been trying to contact you for, so long. I'm interested in your car. I want to see it. Can you tell me more? And the guy's like, oh, yeah, I've been having a lot of interest in the car. I'm actually going to have something set up for everyone who's interested in the car. I'm going to have everyone who's interested see it all at once. And on this date. And I went, I can't make it, but I tell you what, if no one buys it, give me a call back. I'll take it off your hands. And then, so that day passed by, and I kept looking on the ad, and surely enough, it sold. I was kind of bummed out I missed that opportunity because that was the first time I had seen a Type 2, a really clean Type 2 for sale in a while. Now, around the same time, a 94 Sherwood Green GS sedan went up for sale about 2 hours away from where I lived. And I had kept an eye on that, but the pricing was a bit higher than the coupe, so I kind of diverted more of my attention to the coupe. Both of them were automatic. And for me, I was fine with that because automatic or manual, whichever, I just wanted a car. And manuals being even more rare than the automatics, I figured, wow, well, I just want to get my hands on one of them. And so the coupe sold, and then I started getting in contact with the guy with the sedan. And I texted the guy, and I was like, oh, let's see if I could get some information. And unlike the first one, he replies maybe an hour or 2 hours later. And we start talking, and I eventually find out that he's the second owner, but the first owner was his father. And he's like, oh yeah, that guy, my father gave it to me 10 years ago, and I have to sell it because I'm getting another car and I don't have any more room. And I said, oh, perfect, are you available? And I could see the car. And he's like, yeah. And I think I remember I set up the date for that coming weekend. Anyway, so I get to the guy's house. He's got the car pulled up in front of the garage. And, we chit-chat for a little bit. And then I told him, oh, yeah, I used to work for Acura. I said, oh, it's the person I want to sell the car to, someone who will appreciate it. And so I get all my tools out, and, we talk more about the car, how his dad owned it, and how his dad pretty much used it, to drive a little bit here and there. Now, the car had about 178,000 miles. So it had less miles than the coupe. And I was like, oh, that's a bonus for me in a sense. And also the ownership. It wasn't too far away from its original owner because it was just the son. And so I'm inspecting everything, and I'm looking for things here and there underneath, especially for the differential if it's leaking. And to my surprise, I look underneath, everything's clean. The other thing I found underneath was that both CV boots were torn, both the inner CV boots. I was like, oh, just fluids are dirty here and there. And the guy never drove it a whole lot. I mean, he said it was just kind of the weekend car in a sense for when they go out for dinner or whatever, the nicer car. So we take it out for a test drive, and everything's pretty much ticking the boxes for me. And, I wanted to make sure it didn't have any cooling issues, because those cars had head gasket issues, particularly because the EGR would get clogged. And no, everything was fine. So, pretty much seal up the deal, and we get back to the house. We agree upon a price. And he said, oh, okay, I got some more stuff to give you. I said, oh, okay. And, everything's clean inside out. And he comes out, and it's kind of like Christmas for me in a sense. He comes out with a bag, and the bag has a folder of all the records dating back to '94 when the car was new, as well as the brochure, owner's manual, the original telephone that came with the car, because even that was still connected and worked. And now I'm looking at the brochure. I'm like, oh, this is cool to have everything, together like that. And I look at the top right-hand corner. There's a business card that's stapled on there, and it's an Acura business card, sales rep. And I look at the location at the dealership, and I glance at it. I say, hey, he bought it at this dealer brand new? And the guy's like, yeah, my dad bought it there brand new. I said, wow, that's weird. That's a weird coincidence, because that's the Acura dealer I used to work for. For me, it was a spontaneous thing of just buying something I had an itch to buy, and just being able to say I own something that's rare, even though many other people would look at it and just think, oh, it's an older car. Well, it's an older car to you, but for me, it's something special. There's both a younger and older following of that car, because, I don't know, to a lot of people, it's special. Resembles that time where, Acura and Honda were kind of at their pinnacle. With that car, before they had changed the name to RL, and before they had redesigned all the cars together. And really, it sort of just shows a pure 90s view of things from back then, from their design perspective, and like how 90s classic it is. I haven't been driving it for a while. You just don't see anything else like it on the road. It may take a special audience to appreciate that car, but for me, it's just, one of the coolest things.